You're listening to The Joe Cronin Show, a wrestling podcast with attitude.
The WWE has sent Lars Sullivan to get this sensitivity training, and apparently this is not a joke. This is 100% real. The WWE has sent Lars Sullivan to sensitivity training. It is the leading story right now. Lars Sullivan has also been fined by the WWE $100,000, they say, for some misogynistic and bigoted comments that he made years ago on bodybuilding.com message board. By the way, this is like a lot of this stuff is like from 10 years ago, like 2009. I mean, I just don't know how 100% how I feel about all this stuff. Because I'm using myself as an example because I am somebody that I can clearly tell you that at no time was I ever somebody who did not actually like other races, other people for whatever reason. I am, however, somebody that at many times has made crazy jokes, like and insane jokes, especially in writing and especially trolling. It was back in the day when like trolling wasn't even a thing, but you were trolling, but you just didn't acknowledge that, and people weren't called trolls yet. At least that I don't remember people being called trolls back in 2004 and 5. And you would write stuff that was crazy. People would be like, hey, what's the best milkshake that I can make? Or, hey, if I put milk in, do I add sugar? And then you write something like, I'm a Nazi and I rape dogs. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you people say stuff like that and even other things. And even strong opinionated things that I've read back before when I've had strong opinions about things that even as I wrote them, I wasn't sure if I meant it or not. But in years later, I looked at it and said, man, I never really agreed with what I wrote there. And I definitely never agreed with that. And going forward, I couldn't be any more opposite than that. Why did I write that comment? And I would think, and I'd be like, it was to be shocking, and it was to be weird, and it was just to say shit. And that's what I realized, because not only did I vote a different way than that statement, my personal beliefs are really a different way than that statement. But why did I write that statement? Now, that's not to say that Lars isn't some kind of bigot or doesn't have these real feelings behind the scenes and isn't a piece of garbage behind the scenes that we don't know about. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here, and you can try to reverse the roles, right? Like if you're like you reverse the roles and pretend it's like a black guy wrote something, right? If you're like a white person, maybe it doesn't hit you the same. And you pretend to be a female, a black female, and pretend a black female was writing about like, white males are the end of the world and white males will be the end of all of us if we don't do something right, or those type of things, which that stuff is happening right now. It's funny because people write about that openly now and those become like trending awesome articles, right? But like Lars Sullivan, what he wrote 10 years ago is like, oh, he's a bigot and a psycho and everything. I don't have a problem with someone giving their opinion. If your opinion is that, white males are the problems for the reason for all the problems. And if Lars Sullivan back in the day wanted to write that a certain race was a problem, or something like that, those are opinions to me. They're not quite bigoted comments in a way. They're narrow-minded, and, a lot of times they're just open-ended statements. So this gets into some really sketchy territory. A lot of people either think that he deserves to be fired, or this fine is ridiculous and he shouldn't even be fined. I just don't. But either way, whatever all that is, the fact of the matter is, there are people out there that are awful. I don't think Lars would still be employed if he really was awful. There's been so many pictures with him and like African American wrestlers hugging or having a drink from years ago. So it just seems to me like he said some crazy shit in message boards years ago. And that's really it. That's how I feel. Maybe you don't feel that way. Maybe you want more. Maybe people want him to be fired. I don't know. Maybe people don't think this. I'm even shocked that this is happening. This guy sucks, man. His push is ruined, man. He had an anxiety attack because of all this stuff, and now he's back, and now it's come up again, and now he's been fined for it. And I suppose this is like the answer to move on again. Like they tried to move on the last time by sitting him out and saying he had an anxiety attack, if that's what really happened. And then they finally waited. Then they brought him in, figured it blew over. Okay, now bring him back. Oh, nope, here it is. It's back again. We didn't forget about those comments and message boards and stuff like that. And all it is to troll the guy, right? All it is to troll the guy, to be like, look what he did. And then everybody can laugh about it and stuff like that. And the people got what they wanted. See, that's the thing is, I don't think this is really about holding someone accountable for terrible things. It's not really about that. It's really just about like people being sick on the internet and being like, ooh, let's tweet to WWE about this because we'll get some, we could get him fired. Wow, that'd be fun. Wouldn't that be fun to get somebody fired? Like, that's how sick people are nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what they want to do. You know? They want to dig up into anybody's past. I don't agree with this from anybody's past. Even if an African American wrestler, years ago said like, if only we could take out some of these white people, like or like stuff like that. If that black guy came on camera and said, "Listen, I was angry years ago. I said stupid shit. I'm not that person anymore." Like, I don't think we should take out white people and like kill them all and stuff like that and all this weird stuff I said on a message board or a comment 15 years ago. I was just mad about something and certain things that were going on in my neighborhood, my area, and I had a narrow-minded view of it and I was just lashing out in these comments. I obviously don't feel that way anymore. That's all I literally, I'm sorry, maybe you guys are different. I would look at that guy and I'd just be like, yeah, it sounds about right to me. He was pissed off. He said a bunch of shit. He doesn't really mean that. He just was saying he was pissed off about some shit. He was pissed off about, he was taking it out on a whole race, but he was mad, and I understand that happening. That's like human nature in a way. Is that bigoted and racist and stuff like that? It's like, yeah, maybe when you look at it, just the comments and you isolate them, yeah. But then if you look at the guy's situation and why he said that, and then realize that he never did that, and he grew, and now he's like friends with everybody, he doesn't have a problem. He just said stupid shit when he was younger. Like, so to me, that black guy isn't racist at all or isn't anything. He just said some shit. That's all. And I think that that's the case with Lars Sullivan. But, I don't know. That's just me. Maybe not, though. Maybe not. But we don't know him, so I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't think this is even as bad as Hogan to me because, like, Hogan is like was in his like 50s or 40s when he said this stuff. And it was just weird that he even said it the way he said it. But also, he was taped privately, and people would say, oh, Lars Sullivan, it's worse what Lars Sullivan did because Lars Sullivan publicly said all this stuff. But I disagree. I think when you're publicly saying crazy shit, you kind of know what you're doing. It's not you whether you're serious or joking or whatever it is. It's more weird when you say a bunch of crazy stuff privately and you didn't expect anyone to ever hear it. That's more creepy to me. Like, that's my opinion. I am lost at all. I am lost in all of this of what to tell you guys. I assume that depending on your point of view, your perspective, and your childhood and how you dealt with things in your life, this is going to affect you differently. If you were somebody who grew up around all kinds of different races and everybody got along and nobody ever had problems really, and people talk shit sometimes, then this is to you is going to be like a non-story. It's kind of overreaction. And if you're somebody who grew up, white or whatever in an area, whatever, you're probably not going to have a problem with it. I mean, maybe you're someone who grew up, hearing these comments from people making comments to you and making fun of you and stuff like that and sort of weird bigoted comments. And so if you grew up with that and you hear this from Lars from even 10 years ago, this may bother you a lot more, obviously, especially if you're like African American or a minority of some kind. Like these comments may bother you a lot more than other people, and they may not understand why. A lot of people may not understand why you're so upset or sensitive to it. And then you can be like me, somebody who's like, I've made comments over the years that are insane. If I was ever hired by somebody and you dug up everything I've ever done, you would think I'm a full-blown like rapist Nazi or something. Like I would become like, it would be over. Like, I mean, the stuff I've said. But all of it was either in comedy or as a joke or to get shock or to shock somebody to make them go, holy shit. You know, I've said so many different things over the years, going back forever. You know what I'm saying? That I used to write stuff. I used to even write stuff at school in my notebooks that were just fucking crazy to just make people go, what the fuck? You know, and I did that in school. Nowadays, if you did that in school, you would be hauled off because they think you're going to do something. You know what I mean? And I wrote stuff like that because that was how I dealt with stuff. I just thought it was comedy. I thought it was funny. And I wrote really bad shit. And when I'm trying to throw myself under the bus here for all of you so that you can understand that I never wanted to hurt anybody. I never wanted to fight anybody, never wanted to hurt anybody. I never wanted to alienate anybody. I never wanted any groups of people to be left out. I never thought I was better than a woman or better than anyone else of a different color or race or whatever. We're all the same to me. I really, really love everybody, but I also love fucking joking about everybody too. And so my comment, I'm just giving you a perspective of there are people out there that cover up their racism or cover up their hatred, right? And then there's some of us that just kind of cover up our prejudices. Like some of us have like little prejudices. You know what I mean? Like when you see somebody or something, you think a certain way, but maybe after you talk with them, you're like, oh, what was I worried about? You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with me? This person's fine or whatever. People all have that and they don't want to admit it and stuff like that. And that's just normal. It's built into our brains. It's the way as humans, we're sort of set up to group together in groups and tribes and stuff like that. And that's just the way we are. So you really got to fight. You're fighting against your own evolution to sort of accept everybody in and welcome everybody in and stuff like that. But I do love doing that, man. And I love food from everywhere and I love all this other stuff. But you just got to forgive people, I think. You know, as long as they're genuinely really like not that person, you just got to, man, I'd like to think that people give people the benefit of the doubt over it. You know what I'm saying? As long as they're not hurting anybody now or even behind the scenes. You know what I mean? If you found out that people were doing that, that would be dangerous because of religion, politics, beliefs, or color or race, all that stuff. Like, man, I don't know. Like, I don't think anybody should be, excluded or silenced because of any of those things. But again, these are comments from 10 years ago. Do you think Lars Sullivan is this man that made these comments? Do you even think there's anything wrong with the comments? Many people think there's nothing even wrong with the comments. He was just very opinionated. And I think that that's true. I think most of the comments were just strong opinion from him. And I think only a few of them maybe kind of crossed the line of like, whoa, you know, that's some strong opinions there about that. You know, but he may not have those opinions anymore. I don't know what does Lars Sullivan have to do at this point now to move on? Is this going to do it? Now WWE can say, well, listen, we heard you. We fined him. We sent him to sensitivity training. You know, what else? What more can they do now? You know, I mean, fire him? You want him fired? Do you want to teach the lesson out? Do you want to teach the lesson to people that if you said some stupid shit when you were 16, 25, whatever, that if you change as a person, no matter what, 10 years later, you'll be in trouble. And 10 years later, you'll be held accountable. And you should be held accountable, but I don't think that you should be, there should be a roadblock for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Did you physically harm anybody? You know what I'm saying? You know, if you physically harm somebody or, you know, there was some kind of a racial attack physically, or you know, it admitted that as a manager of Bob's Steakhouse, you only hired white people or something like that. You know, those are things that sort of start crossing the line for me. Just having a strong opinion that may change next week, that's not enough 10 years later for me to be that upset. as long as you're clarifying it. And perhaps he needs to clarify it now. I mean, through a video or something. I don't know, but that's going to ruin his character. So, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say about Lars Sullivan now, that what he can do and where he can go from here with being fined now and all these things and this stupid outrage culture we have. And it doesn't help him either that he looks like lumberjack Hitler either. That doesn't, it doesn't help that he looks like, Biff Johnson from Alabama who wants to, I don't know. I think that a lot of people have just kind of chalked this up to overreaction. I think a lot of people. But then there's a lot of people that I'm telling you, I was on Twitter earlier, and man, those Twitter fucking people are going bananas right now with like, you're not firing him. I can't believe you're not firing him. It's not like what did he write? I mean, I know we went through all the comments one day and they were kind of like, oh yeah, it's pretty horrific. That's pretty harsh, but it's not like he said like burn all like Mexicans or something like that. We should kill all the N-words or something like that. If he said something like that, that would be way more concerning compared to what I read. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be like, whoa. Why was he saying this shit on bodybuilder.com, I've heard people say that stuff as jokes, right? I've heard black people say like, oh, burn the whites until they're mayonnaise or something. Then they LOL in the comments. And then people start a fight with the guy, and then the guy's like, bro, I was just joking around. I don't really want to do that. And it's like, that's a joke. Right? That guy made a fucking horrific joke, but he was joking. The guy wrote, burn all the whites until they're mayonnaise, and then we can put them on our sandwiches. And then somebody below was like, dude, what the fuck is that? And these are other black people calling the guy out. And the guy was like, listen, I'm joking, obviously. I mean, what the fuck, bro? And so like that to me is just a joke. He said it's a joke. I believe it. It was so horrific and ridiculous, it's probably a joke. Now, if Lars Sullivan writes burn all the N-words, you know what I mean, and then LOL, and then somebody goes, what the fuck, bro? And then he goes, I'm joking. Okay, I get that. Okay, that's horrific, but I sort of get it, I guess. But why would you write that on bodybuilders.com or .net or whatever the fuck it was? That would be the weird thing. Like are you just trying to fuck? What are you doing? But now he didn't say any of that. So that would be that would be like another level that we would have to sift through to figure out why the hell did you say this? And I don't know, man. What do you guys think? I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about this, because I feel like I've said all I can. I feel like there's way worse people in the world that we have to worry about, and way worse other people that could be out there, but maybe not. What do you guys think in the comments below? I expect this to be a pretty intense debate down in the comments section below with what you think about Lars Sullivan. Should he be fined more? Should he have not been fined? Should he have never been hired? Should he be fired? Should he be forgiven? Should he be fined and forgiven? Should he be suspended and forgiven? Should he be suspended and then maybe fired? What do you guys think? Leave in the comments below. I'd love to read through them all and try to gather an idea of what the pulse is of your opinions. Especially based on your like race or like, what he said that could have affected you. I'm not trying, and by the way, this is, I don't know how people are going to take this video. If people think that I'm being an SJW, or if people think that I'm being not an SJW, people think I'm protecting Lars. I'm doing neither. I'm sort of saying I really just don't know. I think to me, I would investigated the guy, and I would have said, listen, you said some stupid shit. You said some stupid shit. Do you have a problem with minorities and stuff like that? Because I need to know that. Number one, because our company is open to all minorities and all people of all sorts of things. Do you have these intense feelings that where you write this stuff places still, or was this a one-time thing? What is going on here? And if the guy looked me in the eye and explained what was going on, and I saw a couple of people vouch for him, especially people that were like, maybe black guys or something like that worked with him, and they were like, yeah, this guy's never had a problem ever that I've known, and be like, all right. And, I would just say, dude, stop. Don't write any more dumb shit ever again. You know what I mean? Stay off the internet or whatever. All right, cool. He's fine with me. I believe him. you know? And then if I looked at him and he said, yeah, I've written some other stuff before and whatever else, and maybe some other guys said that he treated them weird and he had some other issues, then I would say, okay, shit, man, something's up with this guy. You know? That's all. Simple investigation. You know, is the guy, it's not hard to figure out who a person is. You know, if you pulled up horrific comments that I might have made 12, 15 years ago, right? You pulled up some comments that I made about whoever, whenever, whatever it is. I've said something about everybody and everything. I can tell you 100%. I've said something horrific about everybody and everything. I can promise you 100% I have. And if you pulled that comment or pulled those quotes, I would look like a psycho asshole. However, if you did a background investigation into me and spoke with friends, different people, different races, different whatever, I am 100% confident that all of them will say, yeah, Joe says jokes and shit like that, but the real person, the real Dan, the guy who isn't joking and the guy who is in real life, that man, is not only not a racist person and not a horrible person and human, but he is somebody who genuinely loves everybody a lot and has empathy for people, and I do. And I think that that is the response you would get from most people that actually knew me. And especially the people that would say, oh, we've seen, look at his crazy rants on YouTube. Well, it's a little bit of a character, but I'm also playing it up, and I'm also ranting. In real life, I am nothing, I am just this, I'm just a whole different person. It's crazy. And I think that enough people would vouch for me that I wouldn't have to worry about it. And then the people that don't believe that, fuck them. Who gives a shit? Don't believe it. Retard. You know? I don't care. But I wonder about Lars Sullivan here. What do you guys think? Let me know. I'm really ending the video. I'm really finally ending the video. I am just so unsure of what to say about this at this point. I will see you guys tonight after SmackDown for the SmackDown review. More to come. And if you didn't get my Morning Madness episode, it's up on Patreon right now. Shout out to all the $25 patrons and producers of the show down below. Be adding some new names to the list tomorrow, so check that out. And I'll be doing another Morning Madness episode in a little while, and that's going to be going up. See you tonight after SmackDown.
You're listening to The Joe Cronin Show, a wrestling podcast with attitude.